Hello and welcome to the Voice of Todd. I'm Tom, and today we're going to talk about another one of my favourite subjects. We're going to talk about Halo Infinite and the new update that's just dropped. Now, I've not been doing this channel for very long. I wanted to go over my sort of connection with Halo and my feelings going into Infinite and what we've seen. But I felt like I needed to touch on this so that I can give my thoughts of what's going on. I want to start this video, and you may have seen yesterday's or this morning's Halo video about the TV series that's being produced by Showtime. I was a little bit negative on it, and I have my reasons, which I outlay in the video. There'll be a card somewhere up here. Just go check that out if you're interested in that. But I was also feeling quite down on Infinite. And this isn't just because of the footage that we saw back in July. It was more that we haven't really heard anything. We've seen a few images of customization, but we had no context. We had no real idea of what was going on or how it was going to be implemented, or even what they were doing. So I wanted to make a video today that expressed my concerns about that, and midnight last night UK time we got a drop from 343 on 343 day that answered most of my queries. So we're going to go into that, we're going to talk about that. I'm not going to read the whole thing, I'm going to give you my bullet points, and then we're going to talk about some of the images. As I say, it'll all be chaptered up, so jump to whatever you want. Obviously, I'd like you to watch the whole thing, but you jump to whatever you want to watch. But I do want to start this by saying that the people at 343 Industries are a very talented bunch of people. They clearly have a lot of experience. A lot of them have worked in other studios, and it's some of the top talent in the gaming industry that has been pulled in by Microsoft to work on the Halo franchise. Halo 4 was fine. I feel that they tried to do something different and tell a more expansive story with Master Chief and Cortana, and they were delving into that idea of which one is human and which one is machine. I need to go back and play the story before I confirm any thoughts on it. I don't really remember the story very well. I do remember enjoying the game, as I've touched on in the last video. But it wasn't the Bungie Halo that all his fans grew to love over the years that we spent with it. And the biggest problem with Halo 4 for me was the multiplayer. I'm not a huge multiplayer guy, but Halo is one of the games that I can sit and play multiplayer in. It's not many. I can't play Call of Duty, it's too quick for me. I don't get any enjoyment out of it. But with Halo, I've always enjoyed that feeling that you get of picking up a power weapon in the middle of a map and mass casualties. That's what made Halo special to me. The feeling of everybody's equal until you get that one weapon that you know how to use. And Halo 4's multiplayer just didn't stick. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't at the level that we were used to. So I think the interest in the multiplayer dropped off at that point, and I think most people would agree. They then went into Master Chief Collection, which is a huge undertaking. It's, looking at it now on Xbox and PC, 4 core Halo games and 2 of the additionals with Halo Reach and ODST. All big games in their own right. All, some of the games, genre defining at the time of release. To bring them all into one place on one console and then transporting it onto the new generation as they're looking at doing, and I think the optimization is there for the Series X now as well. That's a huge job. That's going to take a lot of people, and it's going to be a big focus to get that right. When it launched, it was rough. But now it's in a very good state because they've spent years with a dedicated team putting it together. How they took all those elements and put it into a package that runs smoothly for the most part. There's issues, there are going to be issues in anything. But the optimization is huge. And they clearly know how to tweak and optimize and make older stuff shine. They did a fantastic job, and that can never be forgotten. But then we got to Halo 5. Start with a positive. Halo 5's multiplayer is exceptional. I love how you feel, how you move. As a Spartan 4, you're not as big and bulky and sturdy as the Spartan 2s. And it really feels that way. The mobility is there. I have issues with the art style. It doesn't feel like Halo. It doesn't look like Halo. Some of the weapon design is bad. I'm a big battle rifle fan. I've had the battle rifle since Halo 2, and I love it. You don't need to change anything. They changed it with Halo 4, and I like the design, and it sounded good, and it felt really good. The Halo 5 battle rifle just pales in comparison to Halo 4, which arguably Halo 4 is nowhere near as good as the Halo 3 battle rifle, which is my personal favourite. There's just me being picky, and games are going to change and rebalancing needs to happen. But it took a lot of the fun of the playstyle out for me to have weapons that didn't feel great. The armour design and the customization was god awful. Loot boxes are utter garbage. And the fact that it took me almost 5 years to get the helmet that I wanted, that I used in Halo 4, the Deadeye helmet, is my personal favourite. It was trapped behind a loot box that I had no way of knowing if I was going to get it or not. And that isn't a problem with 343 or Microsoft, that's a problem with the gaming industry in general, and that's a whole other topic. But the biggest problem with Halo 5 was the story, the campaign, and after the amazing build-up of the Hunt the Truth, and the idea that Master Chief had gone rogue, and that really built into something that wasn't rewarded in the campaign. Wasn't even mentioned in the campaign, I don't think. And with all the other changes to the art style and the feel, and I can see why people had a problem. 343 having found their footing with Halo 4 to give you a big story with Master Chief at the centre, and he was brushed off onto the side. I love the inclusion of Blue Team. They weren't handled right, and I don't think you got the individual aspects of the characters, but it's nice to have them in there. I don't have a problem with Locke. I just feel that to throw him in as, one, the person the player spends more time with, and two, someone he hasn't earned the right to hunt down Chief. He hasn't earned any of the heroic moments because we've only just been introduced to him. That didn't sit with me either. I think it was great to have Nathan Fillion in. I love Nathan Fillion. I love Nathan Fillion in everything. And it was good to have Buck in. I hope that we will get more Alpha 9 post-Infinite, or even in Infinite, because the ODST squad that is Alpha 9, that became a Spartan squad, they're my favourite squad in Halo. Some of my favourite characters. You better not kill them off. Nobody kills off Buck and Dare and Alpha 9. They're out there somewhere, I'm sure. But the enemies didn't feel as worth. There's something about this. There's a magic about fighting an elite or a squad of grunts. There's just something so rewarding. Prometheans never felt like that. Maybe it's the variation wasn't there. You had 3 different types, 4 different types. There's something about the Prometheans that just didn't work for me. So yesterday, and going into today before I read the update, I felt that Infinite has a lot of work to do. The gameplay footage that we saw back in July at the Microsoft conference, the art style was a big yes from me. The armour looks fantastic. There's a picture of it on screen here. The new Mjolnir variant that Chief is wearing, so reminiscent of Halo 3, which is my favourite. You know, the Mark 6, the Battle Damage Mark 6 is beautiful. I love the Mark 6 helmet. And I think we lost that with 4 and 5's armour. It's back. The art style is looking fantastic. The gameplay looked fun. The problem for me was in the graphical optimization, and at the time, for a game that was meant to be shipping within 3 months, that was worrying. And then we got the delay, and as I said with Cyberpunk, I'm fine with delays, as long as you make the time count. I think that's going to be worth it, so I'm happy to wait. And after reading the latest update from 343, I have hope again, and I feel that Infinite is going to be worth the wait, and the passion that the team at 343 are putting into this, and the way that they do actually understand Halo, and they proved that with this, I think, is all good. And I'm happy to give them all the time that they need to make the Halo game that we all want, and that puts Halo back on top. Let's jump into the update. Start off with a nice little intro from Joseph Staten, who is the creative director on Infinite. It's great having Joseph back. He's a Bungie vet. He's been around Halo for a lot of years before he moved on. I think he's going to be a very, very sort of sure hand to steady the ship, and I think the passion that he brings is going to be huge. They're confirming a release date of fall 2021, so it's been delayed a full year. Doesn't surprise me, and that's what I always expected when they said it was delayed. It also puts us about the time for a 20-year anniversary, which hopefully it's going to be something special. The art and graphics update. There's a lot of technical speak in here that I don't understand at all. I'm not a game designer, I don't know the technical side of it. I can just tell you if it looks pretty or not. That's about my usefulness. But it really does sound like they listened to the feedback from July, and the feedback from Halo 5, and the way it's intended from the community. They knew what they were showing wasn't up to par. They had to show something, because the hype for the game was huge and we hadn't seen anything by this point. But they knew that there were little issues that they were working on at the time. And it's just refreshing and quite honest of them to be as open as they have been on this, with this update. Craig gets an honorary mention. I was like, he's going to be one handsome chap when the game comes out. Maybe we'll get Craig multiplayer skins as well, who knows. They talk about the difference in internal and external space and how it works in multiplayer, and I found that quite interesting, because Halo's always been quite a linear experience, especially with the indoor, confined, quite personal spaces. Thinking back to Halo 1, and you're going through corridors, fighting your way through elites or grunts or flood or whatever. But then you get out into the big open world areas of the ring world itself, and the canyons, and that change in pace and ability to maneuver around was huge back then, and that really made Halo feel special. So it's good that they're looking at it that way. Generally, it seems like the team's working on this, and 343 is big enough to have teams working on many different things. But the group of people working on Infinite seem to have a lot of positivity in what they're doing, and they've taken all the criticism in such a great way. They know that there's a lot of work to do. We're still a year out, but they're taking it seriously and handling it with the care that's needed to do this right, and they want to do the fans justice, and they want to do the game franchise justice. And that's refreshing to hear, with so many franchises just not wanting to do what's right for the viewer or the player, more focused on the financials, like Star Wars and Star Trek, big staples of sci-fi. It's nice to know that the team at 343 are listening to what the fans want, thinking about what the new fans who are going to pick up Infinite for the first time and enter the world having known no Halo, and how they can merge that with what the diehards want, the people who have been with it from the start. I think that's a good way to be, and I hope that that continues, and it sounds like that's going to continue. So while there's a lot of work for them to do, they definitely know what they're doing, and I feel happier having had this brief insight into the teams working on the art style and the graphics, and it's put my mind at rest. Next little update section that we have is the live and customization. So this is live teams who will be looking at how it interacts with the community moving forward up to launch and post-launch with seasonal content by the sounds of it that we'll be getting. The rank system seems to fall under this, and a lot of the customization options fall under this remit as well. I have had the same Halo emblem since Halo 3. I always use Cowboy Cat. Same colours, that's just my emblem. And as I mentioned, the Deadeye helmet that was a pre-order bonus with Halo 4, I have not taken that off as long as I've had it. I only got it this year in Halo 5, and I've had that game since launch. That's 4 years I was waiting. So they're my two staples for Halo. It sounds like, maybe not at launch, but we're going to be getting all the old favourite customization options coming in, which is huge, as well as the new stuff. This could be the most customizable Spartan that you can create in any Halo game. There's a lot of references to the Reach customization system, which for me was, of the day, the best customization in any game, in any multiplayer game. And I think it still holds up. The armor variants, then the differences in armor styles, there was just so much in there that you could play around with. They've taken that philosophy and it sounds like they're running with it, and that's exactly what I wanted them to do with Infinite, and hopefully the power of the new consoles gives them that. That was good to see as well. The biggest takeaway: no loot boxes. They're going to reward players for gameplay. The seasonal content will have rewards. There will be premium options that they mentioned, but they didn't go into how they will be distributing those. But none of it will be locked behind randomness, loot boxes, and any of the rubbish that has plagued the games industry for too long. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. The coating system sounds a little bit like Anthem. I mean that in a good way. That there's different things you can do with different materials and colours, and each bit is customizable, and I think that it will take some getting used to, but it could really make a difference. And I'm going to touch on the pictures of the armour that they showed and the different variants of things. We'll get to that in a minute. But having heard most of the customization, the coatings and the different things that you can do, purely from a promotion perspective, I was worried, but it sounds like we're going to get quite a good amount of customization, and it's going to be very expansive and very controlled by the player, and very open to knowing what you can get, when you can get it, and how much work you need to do. Most of all, it sounds like the whole process is going to be rewarding to the player, and that's key to keep people coming back for more. It does sound like it's going to be a seasonal way. They did talk about the shift to free-to-play multiplayer. There's going to have to be some kind of seasonal model. I'm fine with that. I think the Call of Duty Warzone Seasons model is good value for money if you're going to put the time into play. Apex Season Pass has always seemed, again, good money if you're going to put the time into play. I think it's about $10. The rewards are worth it, and you don't have to buy it. If the rewards don't do it for you, you don't have to buy it. You don't feel like you're going to miss out. So that's good. Taking that approach is positive. As I say, we'll touch on the pictures of the armour coatings and things, and there's a couple of weapon shots that we get in there as well. All stills, but we're going to touch on those in a minute. But we finish off with a final word from Joseph Staten, the road ahead. He says that when he first joined back in July, it was as all the criticism was hitting about the gameplay. He played the campaign twice and he was stunned. It was the most expansive and vertical Halo ever. And this is a quote, and this got me really excited. This is the Halo we imagined back in 2000. This is the Halo we imagined back in 2000. This is the game that Bungie dreamed of. 343 are now able to make because the technology has moved on so far. A big, expansive open world for you to explore. It sounds like with the story we're going to be thrown in at the deep end, with an enemy that not many people apart from the diehards will know, and you've got to figure out what's going on, just like you did with Halo CE back in 2001. The way that this update has been handled, the passion that's been shown by the people that they've spoken to, and it sounds like the team share, and the understanding of the amount of work that's left to do, but the willing to be open and transparent through the process and over next year as we build up to launch, is key. That's what I want. I want to know what's going on. I don't need to know everything, I just need to know that the game is being worked on, things are progressing, and it's being handled with care. This update gives us all of that, and more. This was exactly what I needed, and it's a shot in the arm to get my hype going again. The first big game, 2021, is now on my radar. Halo Infinite, fall 2021, and it's shaping up to be a great return to form for the Master Chief. Now let's touch on these pictures that I mentioned. I'm going to link the update in the description below. Do take a look and read, it's definitely worth a read. I'm not going to go through it all myself here. But here we've got, this is the M41 rocket launcher. I mean, look at it. That just looks like the Halo rocket launcher. Look at the detail on it. I think that was great. And the other weapons that we've seen so far, they look great. We haven't seen much, but the art style is just looking amazing. This is the S7 sniper. It looks like the Halo sniper. Hopefully it'll sound like the Halo sniper. And again, this is the Halo art style. Look at the colouring, and I don't know if this is a skin, it doesn't say, or a coating or whatever. But there's bits of wear and tear on there, and the detail is huge. Hopefully they'll look like that in game. You've got an image of one of the multiplayer maps. This looks very Halo 5, the location. You see both of these Spartan skins further down below. But yeah, I mean, it looks like Halo. I've no problems with any of this. This is the Scorpion Punch armor coating. We have pouches on the armor again, just like Reach. That picture, first thing I thought of when I saw it was the N7 armor from Mass Effect 2 and 3. That's what that invokes. This looks like a Spartan should look. Get a better look at the assault rifle here. This is the Watchdog armor coating. Some reference that this is a special armor coating that comes with reaching Spartan rank 152 in Halo 5. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not, but it sounds like that's where you get this skin. I'm going to have to dust off my boots and get in there and get my rank up. because look at the red on that rifle, the little highlights, the colour scheme looks wonderful. Again, this is how a Spartan should look. Splinter desert armour, pouches, ammo, grenades. That would be the utility spot in Reach. We've got some sort of equipment on the chest piece as well. I mean, the helmet looks very similar to Reach as well. Yeah, looks great. Looks great. Noble Defender, I think we all know why that's the Noble Defender. It's very reminiscent of George. Very noble. It looks like 2 different shoulder pads on there and 2 different braces. So maybe we're going back to the individually customizable left and right shoulder pads. That's good, I prefer that. Looks great, just looks great. The undersuit is clean and crisp. This is my favourite image of the lot because of the battle rifle. This is again the Watchdog on a different armour set with a different weapon. The battle rifle looks like Halo 3's battle rifle. Just perfect. They have nailed this art style. And finally, this is an image of Zeta Halo. If this is going to be anything like the game, and it sounds like they're playing around with lighting and how mist and fog would affect things, and just stunning. Imagine just jumping in a Warthog and driving across the ring and coming across this just as you're on your way to a mission or an objective, and the beauty of it. Go back to full size me. Just for my final thoughts, I've got them written down here. It's clear to me that Halo 5 and the feedback and the fallout from Halo 5 has had a big impact on the course that this game has taken and how the team have moved to make the future iterations of Halo. It seems like it's had a positive effect, and I can't fault them for that, for listening to their fanbase, understanding the criticism. Good on them. It's also clear the passion and the care that everybody there has for Halo. The same passion and care that we as die-hard fans of the franchise and the people who dive into canon and lore, and we all have this love that we've shared for so many years. And it's clear that 343 have that. This is the update that I needed. As I mentioned at the start, I was feeling very negative. Not because of how things looked necessarily, but because we just hadn't had anything. There was no transparency about anything that was going on. It's nice to know that the comments have been heard, things have been looked at, changes are being made, and it's all moving in the right direction. This update has eased my fears, and like I said at the start, I am so excited for Halo Infinite now. Next year is going to be a huge year for Halo and the future of the franchise. I can't wait to get stuck in. Hopefully I'll see you all there. Thank you for watching.